I still can't believe Mason introduced us before college even started. Olivia smiled while placing 2 cups of coffee on the table. I laughed. Mason always enjoyed acting like everyone's life depended on Mason Brooks. Mason pointed at me with a grin. Don't pretend life wasn't boring before meeting me. Life became louder, I answered. Louder is better, Mason replied. 10 years. That was how long Mason and I had been best friends. 10 years of birthdays, road trips, late-night talks, football games, broken hearts, and impossible dreams. I never thought a friendship like ours could break. Mason felt more like family than a friend. When my parents moved away, Mason invited me to every holiday dinner. When I lost my first job, Mason stayed beside me until I found another one. When I doubted myself, Mason reminded me to keep moving. Trust came naturally. I never questioned Mason's words. Then Olivia entered my life. At first, Olivia was simply Mason's younger sister. Olivia always teased me. Ethan, another plain black shirt? I like black. You own 20 black shirts. I own 21. Olivia laughed so hard that coffee almost spilled across the table. Small moments slowly became important. Weekend dinners became daily phone calls. Phone calls became long walks. Long walks became quiet sunsets beside the water. One evening, Olivia stopped walking. Ethan, yeah. Why do I feel happier whenever Ethan Carter is around? My heart nearly stopped. I've been asking myself the same question. Olivia looked down before smiling. I think I'm falling for Ethan Carter. I already fell. Olivia stepped closer. So what happens now? I don't want games. I don't either. I want something real. I want forever. Olivia reached for my hand. I want forever too. That moment stayed inside my heart. Every day afterward felt brighter. Even Mason seemed happy. I knew this would happen. Mason laughed one afternoon. You planned this. I introduced both of you. That doesn't make Mason Brooks a genius. It absolutely does. Olivia rolled Olivia's eyes. Ethan, please don't encourage Mason. I never do. Good answer. Everyone laughed. Life felt perfect. Months passed. Olivia and I started talking about apartments. Marriage entered our conversations naturally. One evening, Olivia rested against my shoulder. Where do Ethan Carter and Olivia Brooks travel after the wedding? Hawaii. Only Hawaii? Italy too. And after Italy, we buy a house. Big house. Not huge. Children. Maybe. How many? 2. Olivia smiled. I've already picked names. You planned everything? A designer always plans. I guess Ethan Carter has no choice. No choice at all. Those words made me believe the future already existed. Daniel didn't share my excitement. Daniel invited me for dinner one Friday. Daniel watched me quietly before speaking. Ethan, what? Something feels wrong. What are you talking about? The Brooks family. I frowned. Daniel, Mason has been my best friend for 10 years. I know. Olivia loves me. I hope so. Then why say something like this? Dating aside, I notice little things. Like what? Mason looks nervous whenever money comes up. Mason works in finance. That isn't what Daniel Carter means. What do you mean? Olivia avoids answering simple questions. Everyone gets distracted. Ethan, I'm listening. Trust people. I do. But don't stop paying attention. I shook my head. I think Daniel Carter worries too much. I hope that's true. It is. Daniel didn't argue. Daniel simply nodded. That silence should have bothered me. Instead, I pushed every doubt away. Love made every warning sound foolish. A few days later, Mason invited me to the Brooks house. We're celebrating, Mason announced. What happened? Big business deal. Congratulations. Tonight, everyone stays late. Dinner lasted for hours. Stories filled the room. Music played softly. Olivia squeezed my hand beneath the table. Everything looked normal. Around midnight, I walked upstairs searching for the bathroom. While returning, quiet voices drifted through the hallway. I wasn't trying to listen. My feet stopped anyway. Mason whispered first. Ethan still doesn't know. Olivia answered so softly, I almost missed the words. How much longer can this continue? It has to. I'm tired of lying. We're too close now. What if Ethan finds out? Ethan won't. My heart started pounding. Lying? Finding out what? I stepped backward before the floor creaked beneath my shoe. The voices stopped instantly. Silence filled the hallway. A bedroom door slowly opened. I forced a smile before anyone could notice the panic inside me. For the first time in 10 years, trust didn't feel unbreakable. For the first time since falling in love with Olivia, I walked downstairs carrying one terrifying question. What secret had everyone been hiding from me? The voices from that hallway refused to leave my mind. I barely slept. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the same words. Asterisk, Ethan still doesn't know. Asterisk, asterisk, I'm tired of lying. Asterisk, lying about what? I grabbed my phone the next morning and called Olivia. Good morning, Olivia answered. Did Olivia sleep well? Not really. I didn't either. Everything okay? I wanted to ask something. Go ahead. What happened after I left last night? A long silence answered me. Nothing important. I thought I heard an argument. It wasn't an argument. What was it? Just family stuff. What kind of family stuff? I don't want to talk about it. Why not? Because it doesn't matter. It matters if Olivia sounded worried. I'm fine. Really? Really? The call ended far too quickly. For the first time, I felt like Olivia wanted distance instead of conversation. That feeling stayed with me all day. 2 days later, I stopped by Mason's office. Mason looked surprised. Ethan, why didn't Ethan Carter call first? I was nearby. Busy day. I'll only stay a minute. Coffee? No. What brings Ethan Carter here? I wanted to ask about the investment. Mason smiled. Everything is going perfectly. When do I see the reports? Soon. How soon? A couple of weeks. I thought reports were ready. They're being updated. Can I look anyway? No reason to. That answer felt strange. Mason always shared every detail before. Now every answer sounded carefully prepared. Before leaving, I noticed Mason quickly closing a folder the moment I looked toward the desk. What was that? What? The blue folder. Nothing important. I thought it had my company logo. It doesn't. Mason immediately changed the subject. So, when's the wedding? I forced a smile. We're still planning. Take Olivia somewhere expensive. I'll remember that. Inside, my questions only grew louder. The next week became even stranger. Messages disappeared. Phone calls ended whenever I entered a room. Dinner plans suddenly changed. Olivia canceled 2 dates. I have to help Mom. The whole evening? Yes. The entire weekend, too. I'm sorry. Something wasn't right. Daniel invited me over again. You look exhausted, Daniel said. I can't stop thinking. About Olivia and Mason. Daniel waited. I think they're hiding something. I hoped I was wrong. I still don't know what. Trust your instincts. I don't want to become suspicious of everyone. Being careful isn't the same as being cruel. I wish this feeling would disappear. It won't until Ethan Carter learns the truth. Daniel was right. I needed answers. 3 days later, I received an unexpected call. Hello. Is this Ethan Carter? Yes. I'm calling for Brooks Financial. Can I help? I believe an email was sent to the wrong address. What email? I'm sorry. The caller immediately hung up. That mistake stayed in my head. Wrong email. I checked every folder inside my inbox. Nothing. Then I opened the trash folder. A deleted message caught my attention. The subject line froze my heart. Investment transfer confirmation. I never deleted that email. I opened it. The document showed money moving from our shared investment account. The amount was far larger than anything Mason had mentioned. I whispered, "What is this?" The next afternoon, I quietly drove toward Mason's office again. I stayed inside my car. An hour passed, then another. Finally, Olivia arrived. Olivia wasn't supposed to be there. Mason greeted Olivia at the entrance. Both disappeared inside. My stomach tightened. 40 minutes later, both walked outside, carrying the same blue folder I had seen earlier. Neither looked happy. I followed from a distance. They entered a law office. Grace Miller. I memorized the name. Why would both secretly meet a lawyer? The following morning, I made an excuse to visit the office building. The receptionist smiled. Can I help? I'm looking for a business directory. Right over there. While pretending to read the directory, I noticed a stack of discarded papers beside a copier. One page had my name. I carefully picked it up after everyone walked away. My hands started shaking. The paper mentioned my investment account. Another page listed authorization forms. Another listed ownership percentages. None carried my signature. I whispered again, impossible. Someone had prepared documents using my money without my knowledge. That evening, Olivia called. I missed Ethan Carter today. I've been busy. You sound different. I've had a lot on my mind. Anything I should know? I could ask the same question. Silence. What does that mean? Nothing. It doesn't sound like nothing. I just miss honesty. I'm being honest. I hope that's true. I love Ethan Carter. I love Olivia too. The words no longer felt comforting. I spent the next several days quietly collecting everything. Emails, bank records, phone logs, meeting dates, copies of financial documents. Every clue connected to another clue. The picture became impossible to ignore. This wasn't only about hidden meetings. This wasn't only about lies. My savings had become part of a carefully planned scheme. The business I believed would build my future had been quietly placed under someone else's control. Months of planning had happened behind my back. Every promise suddenly sounded fake. Every smile carried another secret. I sat alone inside my apartment, staring at the growing stack of evidence. Anger burned inside me. Sadness hurt even more. Part of me wanted to confront Mason immediately. Another part wanted to demand answers from Olivia. Instead, I took a deep breath. No, one emotional mistake could destroy everything. I placed every document inside a locked drawer. If Mason and Olivia believed I still trusted both, Mason and Olivia would keep making mistakes. Those mistakes would reveal even more. I wiped my eyes. My heart felt shattered. My trust felt dead. But my silence had just begun. I looked in the bathroom mirror and practiced smiling. The smile looked real. My eyes didn't. I whispered to myself, keep acting, just a little longer. Every morning became the same. I smiled. I answered calls. I met Mason. I kissed Olivia. Inside, I felt like my heart had already died. That afternoon, Mason called. Ethan, dinner tonight? Sure. Same place. I'll be there. You sound tired. Work has been busy. We'll fix that with good food. I hope so. When I arrived, Olivia was already sitting beside Mason. Olivia smiled. I'm glad Ethan Carter came. I wouldn't miss dinner. Mason laughed. That's the friend I know. A waiter brought drinks. Mason raised a glass. To friendship. I forced my glass into the air. To friendship. The word almost hurt. Mason spent the next hour talking about business. Every sentence sounded rehearsed. Every answer avoided details. Finally, I asked, when can I see the complete investment report? Mason smiled. Soon. I've heard soon many times. Accounting is taking longer. I don't mind waiting. Good. Olivia quickly interrupted. So, have Ethan Carter and Olivia decided on wedding colors? I looked toward Olivia. Not yet. I like blue. Blue is nice. What about white flowers? They're beautiful. The subject changed exactly when money entered the conversation. Again, I noticed it immediately. After dinner, Olivia walked beside me. Something feels different. What makes Olivia think that? I don't know. I've just been tired. Only tired? Yes. Olivia looked at me for several seconds. I hope Ethan Carter still trusts me. That question almost made me stop walking. I've never wanted to stop trusting Olivia. Olivia looked away. Neither of us spoke again until reaching our cars. Sleep refused to come. I kept reading the documents hidden inside my apartment. The signatures, the account numbers, the transfers. Every page increased my anger. At 2 a.m, my phone rang. Daniel, you awake? I haven't slept. I'm coming over. 15 minutes later, Daniel sat across from me. Daniel studied my face. Ethan Carter looks terrible. I feel worse. Daniel noticed the papers. More evidence? I nodded. I don't know what hurts more. The money. No. The lies. Yes. Daniel leaned forward. What will Ethan Carter do? I don't know. I do. What? Don't confront anyone yet. I want answers. You'll get better answers if Mason believes everything is normal. I hate pretending. I know. I feel sick every time I smile. Daniel placed a hand on my shoulder. Survive today. What about tomorrow? Survive tomorrow too. I laughed weakly. Daniel smiled. That's the first real smile I've seen. The following afternoon, I decided to visit the law office whose name I had written down. Grace Miller greeted me personally. Mr. Carter? Yes, I'm Grace Miller. I appreciate the meeting. Grace invited me inside. What brings Ethan Carter here? I found documents connected to my investment. Grace quietly reviewed every page. Several minutes passed. Finally, Grace looked at me. These documents raise serious legal questions. I knew something was wrong. Did Ethan Carter sign these? No. Did Ethan Carter approve these transfers? Never. Grace closed the folder. I believe someone expected Ethan Carter to remain unaware. My chest tightened. What can I do? Grace answered calmly. Several options exist. I want to hear every one. First, gather more evidence. I've already started. Good. Second, protect every financial record. I can. Third, don't warn anyone. I frowned. Why? People destroy evidence when they panic. I wanted to confront Mason today. Grace shook Grace's head. That would be a mistake. I feel angry. Anger wins short battles. What wins long battles? Patience. Grace's voice remained calm. I've seen many cases like this. Does truth usually win? Eventually. What if truth comes too late? Grace looked directly into my eyes. Truth still matters. For the first time in weeks, I felt someone actually understood me. Before leaving, I asked one final question. Why help me? Grace smiled gently. Because honesty deserves a chance. The days became harder. Every conversation tested my patience. Olivia called almost every evening. Miss me? Always. What are Ethan Carter doing tomorrow? Working. Dinner afterward? I'd like that. At dinner, Olivia reached across the table. I've been thinking. About what? Our future. I think about it too. I want everything to stay the same. Those words echoed painfully inside me. Everything already changed. Olivia simply didn't know I knew. I asked quietly, is Olivia hiding anything from me? Olivia's smile disappeared. What kind of question is that? A simple one. No. Olivia answered too quickly. No. No. I nodded. I understand. But I didn't. Not anymore. Later that week, Mason invited me to another meeting. Ethan, investors are asking questions. What kind? Nothing serious. Can I attend the meeting? No need. I invested money too. I'll handle everything. I'd still like to come. Mason laughed awkwardly. Next time, another lie, another excuse, another smile hiding another secret. That night, I sat alone inside my apartment. Every memory fought against every piece of evidence. I wanted my old life back. I wanted my best friend back. I wanted the woman I loved to tell the truth. Instead, silence kept growing between all of us. I opened the folder again. Grace's advice echoed inside my mind. Asterisk patience. Asterisk. Daniel's words followed. Asterisk survive tomorrow too. Asterisk. I closed my eyes. My heart begged me to expose everyone immediately. My mind begged me to wait. For the first time, I chose my mind over my heart. I locked every document inside the safe. Then I whispered one promise to myself. I won't lose this battle because of emotion. I'll smile a little longer. And when the truth finally comes into the light, nobody will be ready for what happens next. I stopped staring at the evidence every night. The truth had already become clear. Reading the same documents again wouldn't change anything. I needed to make my first move. Not out of anger. Out of wisdom. The next morning, I called Mason. Morning. Morning, Ethan. Mason answered cheerfully. I've been thinking. About the wedding? No. The investment? Yes. A short silence followed. What about it? I want to step away from every shared project. What? I need a break. Why? I've been exhausted. We're almost finished. I still want out. Ethan, this doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. Did someone say something? No. Then why now? I simply need space. Mason laughed nervously. Take a vacation instead. I've already made my decision. Ethan, I'll send the paperwork today. Before Mason could continue, I ended the call. For the first time in months, I felt like I had taken back a small piece of control. An hour later, my phone rang again. Olivia, did Ethan really leave the business? Yes. Why? I needed to. Mason looks upset. I'm sorry to hear that. That's all Ethan Carter has to say. What else should I say? I thought we shared everything. We used to. Silence filled the call. Finally, Olivia whispered, "Something has changed." I looked out the window before answering. Yes. It feels like Ethan Carter doesn't trust me. I close my eyes. I hope one day Olivia understands why. What does that mean? I have another meeting. The call ended before Olivia could ask another question. Later that afternoon, Grace reviewed every withdrawal document. Grace nodded with approval. This protects Ethan Carter. I wish I had done this months ago. Most people don't see betrayal until the damage becomes impossible to ignore. I still feel guilty. For leaving, for trusting. Grace smiled gently. Trust isn't weakness. It feels like weakness. No. What is it then? It's proof that Ethan Carter had an honest heart. I don't feel honest anymore. Why? Because I'm pretending. Grace leaned forward. Waiting for the truth isn't pretending. What is it? It's strategy. Those words stayed with me long after the meeting ended. Only a week passed before the first cracks appeared. Mason called again. Ethan, what happened? I need a favor. What kind? Can Ethan Carter speak with one of the investors? Why? They trust Ethan Carter. I thought everything was going well. It is. The hesitation told me everything. I don't think I should get involved. Please. I'm sorry. Mason sighed heavily. Fine. The call ended. I quietly opened my email. An industry newsletter appeared. One headline caught my attention. Brooks Financial Delays Expansion Project. I read every word. Several investors had postponed funding. No names appeared. No details appeared. But I understood exactly where the trouble had started. That evening, Daniel came over with dinner. You look calmer, Daniel said. I finally stopped chasing revenge. Good. I don't think revenge is necessary anymore. Daniel smiled. What changed? I think karma has started working. Daniel laughed softly. I've waited weeks to hear those words. I almost ruined everything by acting emotionally. But Ethan Carter didn't. No. What now? I keep living. And I'll let the truth find everyone else. Daniel raised a bottle of soda. That's the smartest decision Ethan Carter has made. We clinked our bottles together. For the first time in weeks, dinner didn't feel heavy. 2 days later, Olivia asked to meet. Olivia looked exhausted. Dark circles rested beneath Olivia's eyes. Thank you for coming. I wanted answers. I do too. Olivia looked away. Mason has been acting strangely. I noticed. I asked about the business. What happened? Mason refused to answer. Anything else? I found unpaid bills. My heart remained quiet. I also found letters from investors. I stayed silent. They're leaving. I nodded slowly. I'm sorry. Olivia looked confused. That's all. What should Ethan Carter say? I don't know. I warned myself not to judge without proof. Do Ethan Carter have proof now? I looked directly into Olivia's eyes. I have enough to protect myself. Fear crossed Olivia's face. What does that mean? I hope Olivia asks Mason. Olivia reached for my hand. I gently pulled my hand away. That hurt more than I expected. The following weekend, another surprise arrived. Evelyn called. Ethan. Hello, Evelyn. Can we meet? Of course. We met at a quiet cafe. Evelyn looked older than I remembered. I'm worried. About Mason? Yes. I've asked questions. And Mason keeps lying. I remained silent. I protected Mason for years. Every word sounded painful. I believed Mason only needed encouragement. Evelyn wiped away tears. Maybe I protected Mason too much. I spoke carefully. Parents only want the best. Sometimes love becomes blindness. Neither of us spoke for several moments. Finally, Evelyn whispered, If Mason hurt Ethan Carter. I interrupted gently. I don't want an apology. But I only want the truth. Evelyn nodded slowly. I'll find it. Another week passed. News spread faster than I expected. Former business partners quietly walked away. More investors disappeared. Rumors filled every business website. Then another message arrived from Grace. Government investigators requested financial records. I called immediately. Grace. Yes. Is this serious? It could become serious. Should I worry? No. Why not? Every document proves Ethan Carter acted honestly. I breathed easier. What should I do? Nothing. Nothing. Let the investigation continue. I still want to expose everything. Grace answered softly. The truth doesn't always need help. Those words changed something inside me. Days became peaceful. Instead of checking Mason's social media, I started running every morning. Instead of reading painful messages, I read books. Instead of waiting for apologies, I planned my own future. Grace occasionally joined me for coffee. We talked about life instead of betrayal. We laughed instead of arguing. Hope slowly replaced anger. One afternoon, Grace smiled. Ethan Carter looks different. In a good way. In the best way. What changed? Ethan Carter stopped letting dishonest people control happiness. I smiled. I think Grace Miller is right. Grace laughed. I usually am. Walking home, I realized something important. I never needed revenge. Every lie Mason told had become another step toward Mason's own downfall. Every secret had created another consequence. Every dishonest choice had built another problem. Meanwhile, I was finally becoming free. For the first time since discovering the betrayal, I believed my future no longer depended on the people who had broken my heart. Karma had already begun its work. I simply needed the strength to keep walking forward. My phone rang before sunrise. The caller ID showed Mason. For several seconds, I simply stared at the screen. Finally, I answered. Ethan. Mason's voice sounded weak. What happened? I need to see Ethan Carter. Why? Please. I asked why. Everything is falling apart. I'll think about it. Please don't hang up. I'll call later. I ended the call. For months, I had imagined this moment. I thought I would feel happy. Instead, I only felt tired. Later that morning, Daniel called. Did Mason contact Ethan Carter? Yes. I guessed correctly. Ow! The news is everywhere. What news? The investigation became public. I opened my laptop. Every business website carried the same headline. Brooks Financial under investigation after financial irregularities surface. I read every article. Former investors described broken promises. Business partners confirmed suspicious transactions. Several clients demanded refunds. Everything Mason had hidden was finally becoming public. Daniel spoke again. How do Ethan Carter feel? I expected satisfaction. And I only feel sad. That's because Ethan Carter never wanted revenge. No. What did Ethan Carter want? The truth. Daniel stayed quiet. The truth finally arrived. That afternoon, Olivia appeared outside my apartment. Olivia looked exhausted. Red eyes revealed another sleepless night. I need 5 minutes. I stepped aside. Olivia slowly entered. Neither of us spoke immediately. Finally, Olivia whispered. Everything was true. I nodded. I know. I should have listened. You should have. I thought Mason would fix everything. I heard those words many times. I believed every promise. So did I. Tears rolled down Olivia's face. I'm sorry. I looked at the woman I once planned to marry. Months earlier, those tears would have broken my heart. Now they only reminded me of everything we had lost. I never wanted to hurt Ethan Carter, but Olivia still did. I know. I trusted both of you. I don't expect forgiveness. I appreciate the honesty. Olivia lowered Olivia's head. I kept protecting Mason. Why? Because Mason promised everything would work. And when did Olivia realize the truth? When investigators started asking questions. I realized much earlier. I know. I'm sorry. I believe Olivia regrets everything. I do, but regret doesn't rebuild trust. Olivia quietly cried. I still love Ethan Carter. Those words hurt. Not because I believe them, because I once dreamed of hearing them forever. I hope Olivia finds peace. What about us? There is no us anymore. Olivia closed Olivia's eyes. I understand. Without another word, Olivia walked away. I never stopped Olivia. The following evening, Evelyn invited me for dinner. Only Evelyn sat at the table. Mason refused to come, Evelyn said. I expected that. I owe Ethan Carter an apology. Evelyn doesn't owe me anything. I ignored every warning. Evelyn loved Mason. I also enabled Mason. I remained silent. I defended every bad decision. I noticed. I blamed everyone except Mason. I noticed that too. Tears filled Evelyn's eyes. If Evelyn had stopped protecting Mason years ago, maybe things would be different. I failed as a mother. No, I did. I believe Evelyn loved Mason too much. Sometimes love becomes selfish. I finally understand. I reached across the table. Evelyn. Yes. I don't hate Evelyn. Those words made Evelyn cry even harder. Thank you. I hope Mason learns from this. So do I. 3 days later, Mason appeared outside my office. The expensive suits had disappeared. Dark circles surrounded Mason's eyes. The confident smile no longer existed. Ethan. Hello. Can we talk? For a few minutes. We walked toward a nearby park. Neither of us spoke until reaching an empty bench. Finally, Mason took a deep breath. I destroyed everything. I waited. I lost investors. I nodded. I lost clients. I stayed silent. I lost friends. Another pause. I even lost my own family. The pain inside Mason's voice sounded real. I never wanted this. What did Mason want? Success. Success never required betrayal. I know. Greed changed everything. I know. I kept believing one more lie would solve every problem. It never does. No. Mason looked directly at me. I'm sorry. Silence answered. I betrayed my best friend. Another silence. I betrayed Olivia. I looked away. I betrayed everyone. Mason's shoulders shook. I don't deserve forgiveness. I finally spoke. Mason is right. I know. But Ethan Carter still came. I wanted closure. Can Ethan Carter ever forgive me? That question stayed between us. 10 years of friendship fill my memories. Birthday parties, road trips, long conversations. Every good memory fought against every painful truth. Finally, I answered. I forgive Mason. Mason looked shocked. You do? Yes. Hope returned to Mason's face. Then I continued. Forgiveness doesn't mean everything returns to normal. The hope disappeared. I understand. I won't carry hatred. I deserve that. But I also won't rebuild this friendship. Mason slowly nodded. I destroyed it. Yes. I'm sorry. I believe Mason truly is. I wish I could change everything. So do I. Neither of us spoke again. After a long silence, Mason stood. Goodbye, Ethan. Goodbye, Mason. That felt like the end of an entire chapter of my life. Later that night, Daniel visited. How did it go? I forgave Mason. Daniel looked surprised. Really? Yes. Did Ethan Carter become friends again? No. Daniel smiled. That's different. It is. Why forgive? Because carrying anger would only hurt me. And why walk away? Because trust cannot survive without honesty. Daniel nodded proudly. I think Ethan Carter finally understands something important. What? Peace is stronger than revenge. I smiled. I believe Daniel Carter is right. For the first time since discovering the betrayal, I looked toward the future instead of the past. The lies had collapsed. The friendship had ended. The love I once believed would last forever had disappeared. But my heart no longer belonged to betrayal. My heart finally belonged to me again. 6 months changed everything. Every morning started with peace instead of fear. Every night ended with hope instead of questions. For the first time in a long time, I looked forward to tomorrow. My phone no longer controlled my emotions. Old memories still appeared, but those memories no longer control my heart. One Saturday morning, Grace called. Good morning. Good morning. Coffee. I thought Grace Miller would never ask. Grace laughed. I'll take that as a yes. I'll be there in 20 minutes. When I arrived, Grace smiled the same calm smile that had carried me through my darkest days. You look different, Grace said. In a good way? The best way. What changed? You finally stopped surviving. What am I doing now? Living. I smiled. I like that answer. Grace handed me a cup of coffee. I've watched Ethan Carter become someone completely different. I don't feel different. I do. Ow. Ethan Carter laughs again. I forgot how that felt. You deserve happiness. I used to think happiness depended on other people. And now, I finally understand happiness begins with honesty. Grace nodded. Exactly. We spent hours talking about books, work, dreams, and future plans. Not once did we talk about betrayal. That silence felt peaceful instead of uncomfortable. A few weeks later, Daniel invited me to a family barbecue. Daniel hugged me the moment I arrived. There he is. Ooh, the brother I almost lost. I wasn't going anywhere. Daniel laughed. I wasn't talking about distance. I know. Daniel handed me a plate. I'm proud of Ethan Carter. For what? For refusing to become bitter. I almost did, but Ethan Carter didn't. I had help. Daniel smiled. Grace. And Daniel Carter. Daniel raised a drink. To new beginnings. To new beginnings. For the first time in years, the future felt brighter than the past. Later that month, I unexpectedly saw Mason downtown. Mason noticed me immediately. For a second, both of us hesitated. Then Mason walked over. Hello, Ethan. Hello. I won't keep Ethan Carter long. It's okay. Mason looked healthier than before, but sadness still rested inside Mason's eyes. I found another job. I'm glad. It isn't glamorous. Honest work matters more. I finally understand that. I nodded. I also started volunteering. Really, I wanted to do something meaningful. That's good. Mason looked toward the sidewalk. I think about everything every day. I believe that. I can't change the past. No, but I can change myself. Yes, I'll spend the rest of my life trying. I offered a small smile. I hope Mason succeeds. Mason looked surprised. Thank you. No matter what happened, I never wished for Mason to stop growing. I appreciate that. We shook hands. Nothing more needed to be said. The friendship had ended forever. Respect quietly remained. A few days later, Olivia sent a message. Can we meet one last time? After thinking for several hours, I agreed. We met at a quiet park. Olivia looked peaceful. Not happy, just peaceful. Thank you for coming. I thought closure mattered. It does. Olivia smiled sadly. I started volunteering at a community center. That's wonderful. I wanted my life to mean something again. I'm glad. I don't expect another chance. There isn't one. I know. I only wanted Ethan Carter to know something. What? Losing Ethan Carter became the biggest consequence of my life. I stayed silent. I'll always regret choosing fear over honesty. I believe Olivia. I hope one day the guilt becomes lighter. So do I. Olivia stood. I won't bother Ethan Carter again. I wish Olivia peace. And I wish Ethan Carter happiness. Those were the last words we ever shared. As Olivia walked away, I realized something surprising. The pain was gone. Only gratitude remained. One cool autumn evening, I drove to the waterfront where Olivia and I had once dreamed about marriage. The same benches remained. The same waves touched the shore. The same sunset painted the sky. Months earlier, I believed that place belonged to heartbreak forever. Now it felt completely different. Grace quietly joined me. I hoped Ethan Carter would come here. How did Grace know? Because healing sometimes requires revisiting old places. I think Grace Miller knows me too well. Grace laughed. Maybe. We watched the sunset together. Finally, Grace asked, "Any regrets?" I thought carefully. I regret trusting the wrong people. Grace waited. But I don't regret having a kind heart. Why not? Because betrayal says more about dishonest people than honest ones. Grace gently squeezed my hand. I wanted to hear those words for a long time. I finally believed them. Grace smiled. So what happens now? I keep moving forward. Together? I looked into Grace's eyes. If Grace wants that, I do. For the first time since everything fell apart, hope didn't feel fragile. Hope felt real. That night, I sat alone on my apartment balcony. The city lights stretched across the horizon. I remembered the frightened man who overheard whispered voices outside a bedroom months earlier. That man believed life had ended. I smiled gently. Life hadn't ended. Life had simply changed direction. I remembered Daniel's support. I remembered Grace's patience. I remembered Evelyn's apology. I even remembered Mason's tears. Every painful moment had taught me something valuable. Trust should be earned. Love should never require lies. Peace always costs less than revenge. Most importantly, I discovered my own strength. Nobody could steal that strength. Nobody could manipulate it. Nobody could destroy it. I quietly looked toward the stars. I finally understand. The greatest revenge had never been exposing Mason. The greatest victory had never been watching karma unfold. The greatest reward had never been hearing apologies. My greatest victory was walking away before betrayal destroyed the person I wanted to become. I closed my eyes and smiled. Tomorrow no longer belonged to painful memories. Tomorrow belonged to me, and no betrayal would ever take that away again.